Exactly 4 years ago, in May 2022, a film was released that opened the doors of the multiverse for us within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Its name was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But friends, now in 2026, after watching numerous movies from Phase 5 and Phase 6 of the MCU, one question still lingers. Was the movie we were shown by Marvel really the one they originally planned? The answer is no. In today's video, we're going to take a deep dive and dissect the original script written under Scott Derrickson's direction. We'll talk about the bloodshed that Disney chose to hide, the villain who haunted dreams, and the emotional story that might not have broken the hearts of Wanda's fans. Buckle up because this video is going to be long and extremely interesting. So without further delay, let's begin. First, let's talk about Wanda, because she was originally supposed to appear as a hero. The biggest shock comes when you learn that in the original plan, Wanda was not the villain. Instead, after the ending of WandaVision, Wanda was meant to stay with Doctor Strange to atone for her sins. Scott Derrickson's plan was for Wanda to go to Doctor Strange to learn how to control her magic. The first 30 to 40 minutes of the film would have focused entirely on Wanda's training. We would have seen her at Kamar-Taj, alongside Wong and Strange, learning how to balance her chaos magic with structured, disciplined sorcery. The script included scenes where Wanda and Strange read ancient books together, drank tea, and shared their traumas to lighten their emotional burdens. Wanda was meant to receive a redemption arc and re-emerge like an Avenger, not as a crazed killer chasing a child who wasn't even truly hers, but merely someone who resembled her lost sons. Now, if Wanda wasn't the villain, then who was the main antagonist? This is where Nightmare enters the story. Nightmare, the ruler of the dream dimension, was supposed to be the true antagonist of the film. His plan was simple, yet terrifying. He would open pathways across the multiverse because he feeds on fear. He wanted to trap people in every universe within their worst nightmares. Strange recurring nightmares were actually caused by Nightmare, trying to break him psychologically. In the original script, Nightmare's appearance was far more terrifying. He was portrayed as an entity that tortured people not for any grand purpose, but simply for pleasure. Imagine how thrilling it would have been to see a villain who wasn't purely physical, but psychological, a true horror-based antagonist. Now let's talk about the scene that could have made this the MCU's first proper horror movie. At the end of 2016's Doctor Strange, we saw Mordo beginning to eliminate magic users. In the original opening scene of this sequel, Mordo would track down Wanda to her cabin, believing she was the greatest abomination of them all. A brutal fight would take place between them. Mordo would give it everything he had, but Wanda, unknowingly under the influence of the Darkhold, would kill him in a horrifying manner. In fact, she would decapitate him. And here's the biggest twist. When Strange later visits Wanda at the apple orchard, she would show him Mordo's severed head and say, "Look, I eliminated your enemy. Now we're friends, right?" This scene would have shown that Wanda wasn't insane. She had simply lost her moral compass. However, Disney felt it was far too dark, so the sequence was removed. This particular moment likely belonged more to the darker horror tone associated with Sam Raimi's version of the film. Now let's discuss Doctor Strange's character. In the final movie, he appeared somewhat arrogant. But in the original script, there was a deep emotional pain driving him. Just like in the comics, the film planned to include a flashback of Strange's childhood. His younger sister, Donna Strange, would fall into a frozen lake and drown while young Stephen was present, but unable to save her. Nightmare would exploit this trauma to manipulate Strange, repeatedly forcing him to relive the memory. This tragedy would explain why Strange became a doctor. He feared death and desperately wanted to save others because he couldn't save his sister. This emotional core was ultimately removed from the film, which is why the Strange versus Strange conflict in the final version felt somewhat flat. Scott Derrickson had tried to hint at this backstory even in the first film, and there were even discussions about casting for the role of Donna Strange. But that idea was also dropped. When a second film finally had the opportunity to explore it, it was again removed, leaving Strange's character feeling comparatively weaker than others. In the final movie, Defender Strange appears only in the prologue before dying. However, in the original plan, his role would have been much larger through extended flashbacks and deeper narrative significance. In the original version of the story, Defender Strange and America Chavez have been traveling through the multiverse together for months, and their relationship was like that of a father and daughter. Defender Strange had protected America from every danger. There was even a scene in the original script where he tells her what really happened to her parents and how they were lost. Later, when Earth-616 Strange controls Defender Strange's corpse, he would also see his memories, his sacrifice, and the genuine love he had for America. This would have made America Chavez's character arc much stronger. It would have shown that she wasn't just a battery for multiversal power, but someone who had been part of a family, someone who truly mattered. It would also have explained why she felt such a deep connection with Doctor Strange. But all of this was ultimately scrapped. Now, if we talk about the original Illuminati lineup, the real roster was supposed to look quite different. Balder the Brave, reportedly to be played by Daniel Craig, was meant to appear as Thor's brother and the leader of the Illuminati. In the story, Wanda would have killed him using his own sword. As for Superior Iron Man, the rumors about Tom Cruise were actually true. However, his suit was not going to be the sleek white Superior Iron Man armor from the comics. Instead, it was supposed to resemble the Ironmonger style armor. In this universe, Iron Man had successfully executed the Ultron project. On top of that, we were also supposed to get a cameo from Magneto, most likely played by either Michael Fassbender or Ian McKellen. When it comes to the final battle sequence, in the released movie, Wanda defeated the Illuminati in barely 2 minutes. But in the original script, the Illuminati managed to trap Wanda inside a magical cage. The fight was meant to be more of a psychological battle. Reed Richards would attempt to outthink Wanda and play mind games with her. However, with the help of the Darkhold, Wanda would have turned their own fears against them. This battle was supposed to last 15 to 20 minutes, making it much more intense and layered. Now let's talk about the biggest character who was supposed to appear in Multiverse of Madness, Chthon. Chthon is the Elder God who originally wrote the Darkhold. In the original plan, Nightmare was merely a puppet, and the true mastermind behind everything was Chthon. However, Waldron and Feige decided that introducing Chthon at this stage would be too soon. They kept the Mount Wundagore sequence, but removed Chthon himself, limiting his presence to statues and implications. The plan had been for Chthon to possess Wanda's body and enter Earth physically. But Kevin Feige reportedly chose to save this storyline for a potential Scarlet Witch solo film, possibly targeted for 2027. Whether that will become a film or a series remains uncertain, as there has been no official confirmation so far. Now the big question, why so many changes? When Scott Derrickson left the project due to creative differences, Michael Waldron stepped in. Waldron believed that if Wanda remained a hero in this film, they would have to wait until Avengers 5 to turn her into a villain. So why not make her a full villain right away? He reportedly scrapped the original script entirely, feeling that Wanda's grief was a stronger driving force than Nightmare's fear-based manipulation. Looking back at Multiverse of Madness 4 years later, it feels like a movie filled with lost potential. Wanda's villainous turn was iconic, and her massacre of the Illuminati was certainly shocking. But was it better than the original script? Personally, it doesn't seem so. The original version promised a film that would have frightened us, moved us emotionally, revealed Strange's true past, and given Wanda a powerful redemption arc. Waldron delivered a popcorn entertainer, but Derrickson seemed to be aiming for a masterpiece. Marvel, caught between corporate decisions and future sequel plans, may have modified and diluted a truly unique project. At least that's how it feels. So friends, this was the hidden truth about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, a version that we may never actually get to see. What do you think? Would Nightmare have been a better villain, or was Wanda the right choice? Be sure to let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, tell us that as well. We'll continue exploring dropped ideas from other movies too, so you can see what their true potential was and where they ultimately ended up. That's all for today, guys. See you in the next video with a brand new topic. Until then, bye-bye.